Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hello everybody, it's Jeff. Today's Friday. It was really kind of a gloomy day for the most part. It was like in the 50s, I guess, and it's 6:30 and it's like 48 degrees or something. So I got a window open. And I know the heat's not on, so I'm not cold. Yeah, the days are getting short, and it gets dark sooner. And, well, that's just how it is in Maine. You know, you get all the seasons, and you get the time change more harsh. Not as harsh as some places, but we do get a shortage of daylight hours this time of the year. It gets dark right around 5:30 or 6, you know, right around that area. So, well, I hope everyone is getting better, recovering from the election. I know that's saying a lot, but I think it helps, you know, when you kind of distract yourself with, you know, the normal day-to-day things that we do at home. And right now it seems like everybody is out shopping. I know here at the Bangor Mall this weekend, they're supposed to have a huge craft fair in there, and they're already setting up. I was just in there tonight, and I mean, it's pretty much from one end of the mall to the other end of the mall, and it's all fucking craft stuff. They've even taken some of the old vacant stores and put things in there. So it's going to be big, and it's going to be very busy over there this weekend, which is good for the Bangor Mall. But you know, they could do with having one of those things almost every weekend here for the next 2 years in order to save it. But as it is, this is what's going on over there, and I like craft fairs, but I don't think I really am in the mood to be around lots of people. Today I was in the parking lot pulling in, and then this old man jumps into his truck, big white truck, pulls out Trump bumper sticker. I almost feel, you son of a bitch, you old bastard, you. It's like, I don't know what I fucking, you know. So, you know, I'm just, you know, hey, you gotta take that shit off now, okay? You made your point, you got your way, all right? End of story. I still see these things on the lawns, Trump this, Trump that, you know, in their fucking yards. You can take that shit down now, okay? I think in the days to come, you're going to want to anyway, because when Trump gets going, a lot of people are going to end up with buyer's remorse again. So anyway, I have a video here from Attorney Augustus Corbett, who wants to talk about, you know, the problem that what's going to happen now with Trump being president again. And he's going to have a live event on November 13th. It's Wednesday at 7:30 Central Standard Time. Okay, he's going to talk to people. This 7:30 p.m. Yeah, he's going to talk to people about the plans that are in works here of how to resist Trump as he tries to implement things about from Project 2025 when he gets in there. Which, of course, now we know it was real. I mean, they've admitted now that the election's over, they've already come out and said, yes, we are going to implement this thing. And it's like Governor Walz said in the thing, you don't make a playbook for a baseball game if you're not going to use it. You know, he knew that was real, and so did everybody else that has any brains in their head. But Trump was trying to say, oh, I don't know anything about that. I have no idea what that is. You know, and it's like, you know, he lied. He fucking lied. And what's new? What else is new? He's going to come out and do all kinds of things he lied about that he wouldn't do. So anyway, let's go to the video, and we'll catch you on the other side.
We have no time to fear or be sad because of the election results. We must start fighting now, because Trump has already started implementing Project 2025, believe it or not, despite him lying about knowing that it even existed. All right, let's talk about this. Stay right here. Hello, everybody. I am attorney Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers. Each and every week, we bring you at least one legal analysis of some trending story regarding politics, policies, personalities, or pop culture to empower you with the information you need to defy this unjust legal system and to nullify systemic racism. If that interests you, and I don't see how it couldn't, please like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell so you'll get notified every time we upload one of these powerful and informative videos. All right. Now, before we get into this that I want to discuss with you today, I encourage you to go over to Amazon.com, grab a copy of my book, Education in Justice. If you have an African-American son in public school, I assure you that he's being mistreated, and you need to know the type of mistreatment that he's experiencing and what you need to do about it. So go over there and grab a copy of my book so that you can get informed and become your son's strongest advocate. All right, so as I said, lots and lots and lots of people are contacting our office and emailing and so on and asking, what are we going to do? We're in a mess. Well, I know exactly what we're going to do. Again, we're going to fight. We're going to resist this. I feel everything you feel. Everything you feel. But I take that and I translate it, if you will, into a fighting mode, a resistance mode. Because we can't stand by and watch Trump and MAGA implement this Project 2025, Agenda 47, the GOP platform, whatever they want to call it. We cannot. I have gone over and over and over Project 2025. I've spoken to many groups. I've done videos here on our channel, just warning people about where we are and what Project 2025 would be about if Trump ever got the opportunity to implement it. And see, the problem is most young blacks don't see it. What they don't understand is Trump and MAGA didn't rise by accident or happenstance. They aim to protect the white power structure. That's why him and J.D. Vance are now in the Oval Office. Around 25 years ago, shifting demographics started to alarm white people. Pat Buchanan and others warned white Americans that if trends continued, the U.S. would become a majority country. That caused great concern. And they blamed the civil rights laws and movement for this change. And it fueled a fear of something known as the replacement theory. Now, I want you to hear video from a MAGA member, and you'll see precisely what I'm talking about. Let's watch that video.
But I want to know how it is you voted for Donald Trump when you're so into facts, because his entire campaign is not based in facts. It was all based in propaganda and emotion.
I voted for Donald Trump for one reason only. His policies, if implemented, would slow the dispossession of whites in the United States. If you were to deport all illegal immigrants, if you were to think very hard about letting in any Muslims, all of this would slow the rate at which whites are becoming a minority.
Why are you so worried about the white dispossession of America?
Because I want my people to survive. Is that so strange? We don't control China. We don't control any place where whites are not a majority. And if we become a minority, we will not control our own destiny anymore.
Okay, there it is. And see, many young people, many young blacks, as I said, just don't know this history. They don't have this information. This makes them vulnerable to disinformation. Some even end up, as we saw, supporting MAGA, unknowingly empowering a movement that will harm black communities. Obama's election intensified that white fear. Conservative leaders felt they needed swift action. With SCOTUS dominated by white supremacist ideologies, including Clarence Thomas, they dismantled civil rights protections. For example, and you've heard me say this and I'll keep saying it, in 2013, SCOTUS gutted the Voting Rights Act of 1965 in the Shelby County versus Holder case. This decision removed pre-clearance, which required states with histories of voter suppression to get DOJ pre-approval before they implemented changes to their voting laws. Without pre-clearance, states pushed through voter suppression laws unchecked. And since the Shelby County case, over 25 states have passed nearly 100 voter suppression laws targeting blacks and marginalized communities. These include strict ID laws, voter roll purges, and limits on mail-in voting. This is according to the Brennan Center for Justice. These laws make voting harder for us. And let me tell you this, Chief Justice John Roberts, who now leads SCOTUS, spent years weakening the Voting Rights Act. This was intentional. It was strategic. He spent his career doing this. Young black men without this history, again, they fall prey to GOP disinformation. They get distracted by the talk of the economy and immigration. And these are important issues, but they're secondary. The biggest threat to us is white supremacy and the radical MAGA movement. Now, here's another issue. The new black media adds to this problem. For over a decade, these voices spread lies that Democrats have done nothing for black people, that voting is a waste of time. They discourage young black people from voting, especially voting for Democrats. And the truth is much more complex than that. While flawed, Democrats have supported civil rights and protections for black communities. This disinformation, though, has left many young black people feeling disillusioned and detached. We also can't rely on, to be honest, white liberals in the Democratic Party. Trusting them doesn't give us control of our struggle. They don't face the threats we face as African Americans, so they're not going to take it as seriously. But here's how we take control of our political future. It's called impact voting. This is better than trying to start our own party, as some people suggest, because starting our own party is impracticable at this moment for a myriad of reasons. Whereas impact voting is a better option. So why do I say that? I say that because if you understand what impact voting is, it has several advantages. So first of all, impact voting is voting in overwhelming numbers for Democratic candidates that we choose, that we handpicked, our own people, our neighbors, who we know will fight for and protect our interests. This approach lets us control, not just influence, but control the Democratic Party from within. You may say, wait, we just did impact voting because an overwhelming majority of black men and women voted for Kamala. But here's why that's not impact voting. For this one simple reason, many blacks did not vote in this election. In fact, the number of blacks voting in this election fell in comparison to 2020. And it's important that we impact vote and take control of the Democratic Party because in this last election, Democrats failed us. They neglected key communities, key parts of the black community, and they badly ignored social media, allowing pro-black imposters to spread disinformation without any pushback to the next generation. Due to disinformation and a lack of understanding about white supremacy, some of these young black men helped Trump and MAGA take control of the government. They have supported a movement that will undermine our communities in many ways. This situation breaks my heart, but it's time to resist MAGA, wipe the tears away so that we can fight with everything we got. If we don't, we'll return to some of the same struggles our parents and grandparents faced decades ago. Trump and MAGA are already pushing Project 2025, as I told you. And here are some of the things that they intend to do. They will appoint white supremacist billionaires across the government, like Elon Musk. They will be deporting millions of Latinos. Trump will instruct the DOJ to prosecute his political enemies, like Jake Smith and Liz Cheney. They will shut down the Department of Education and divert funds from black schools to schools in red states. They will probably reverse student loan forgiveness. They will likely cut Biden and Harris's historic HBCU funding. They have promised to appoint RFK Jr. to head HHS, probably with instructions to end the Affordable Care Act. Again, Elon Musk will likely lead the effort to fire thousands of federal workers, many of them black, and replacing them with MAGA loyalists. Trump said that he's going to impose tariffs on goods that are coming from other countries. Trump promised that he would deploy the National Guard to inner cities with orders to stop and frisk black people. All right? He's going to attempt to gut the Fair Housing Act. He tried that in his first administration but failed. He'll try it again. He will try to modify the 14th Amendment to eliminate birthright citizenship. We should fight that with everything. He will probably issue executive orders giving federal cops prosecution immunity. And then he'll use DOJ funds to push states to give their cops prosecutorial immunity. He will cut financial support to Ukraine, allowing Russia to claim victory. That's dangerous. He will place all federal agencies, including the Federal Reserve, under his direct control. I believe he's going to do that. He will likely pardon all January 6 prisoners. Of course, he's going to cut taxes for the ultra wealthy in this country, driving up the national debt. He's going to push to bring back the death penalty on a large scale. He may pull this country out of NATO. He will likely defund Head Start programs. He likely will end overtime pay. All right? All that is coming. All right? At least he promised it, and those things are talked about in Project 2025. Well, what are we going to do? Again, we're going to fight. But we need a strategy. So, I have an announcement. Next Wednesday, November 13th, 2024, at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to come on live. And here's what we're going to do. First, we plan to have several guests. We're trying to confirm them now. And we're going to take calls. And then we're going to unveil our plan to fight MAGA. Okay? We're going to show you what we're going to do. Now, keep this in mind. We're not going to go in a lot of detail because God knows who will be listening. And it's not wise on our part to show our hand. Okay? So I can't go in a lot of detail, but I will give you a bird's eye view of what we believe we can do to fight Trump and MAGA. Now, make sure you're here with us live next Wednesday, November 13th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All right, that's all I have for you right now. Stay encouraged. All hope is not gone. I have my faith and my confidence, first and foremost, in God. And then we got to get out and we got to put some works with our faith. We can defeat this. We can defeat it. All right? A lot of blacks made a huge mistake allowing this man to get back in office and implement this horrible agenda. So now we got to fight it. We got to try to prevent the implementation of a lot of this stuff. Okay, so I'm Attorney Augustus Corbett, one half of the Defiant Lawyers. This is the content that we're going to continue to bring you on a regular basis. All right? So until the next time, peace.
So, yeah, like I said, it wasn't that long of a video, but you know, he does bring up some interesting points. I mean, I know he focuses a lot on, you know, black Americans, and that's okay because, you know, what he's talking about, what Trump is going to do is not just going to affect black Americans only, okay? A lot of things that he plans on doing in that Project 2025 is going to affect everybody across the spectrum in this country, because he doesn't care about the people in this country. MAGA, he doesn't care about you either. You think he does, but he doesn't. And you're going to find that out the hard way. You know, just typical human nature. You got to fall flat on your face before you learn you've done it enough times. I guess once wasn't enough, so let's do it again, right? So anyway, that's, you know, pretty much what he's talking about is really, really important. And I think I'm gonna watch what he's got to say on Wednesday, the 13th. Another thing that I you know, is that I think that for 15, 20 years, the Republican Party has had a internet dominance. Because I mean, there's a list. You know, all kinds of people get online that are Republican, and especially during this campaign, I mean, you really got to see the faces of all these people supporting Trump coming out online and stuff like that. And more people are saying that really the young vote in this country went to Trump because they spend a lot of their time online getting, you know, their information, good or bad, online. And everybody else still gets it from television or however else they get it. They, you know, but the young people always go, it seems to go to the bad places to get their information. And they always go for the most charismatic, entertaining, you know, sort of person to get information from. All right. And I guess it's addictive. Maybe it's the same reason why so many people still watch Fox, because the way they deliver and disseminate the news is entertaining to them. Okay, even though what they're hearing is mostly horseshit, they're still watching it, and they don't fact check the goddamn thing. In fact, Fox News themselves finds it an insult when people fact check them, especially when it came to Donald Trump getting a debate, or J.D. Vance getting into a debate. He didn't want, none of these people wanted to be fact checked as it was going. They were offended. It's like, oh my God, the press are doing their job. How dare they do that? You know, this is where we are, people, with the news, okay? They're not allowed to fact check anything. You know, it's like, you know, propaganda has to be what it is without anybody looking over its shoulder to see if it's real. I mean, it's just crazy. You know, I mean, isn't that sort of how things were just before Hitler came to power? You know, that they were going after the media, threatening them. I mean, Hitler himself had his own goddamn press sending out. I mean, it's like Fox News. He had his version of Fox News where he got his own press, and they were supposed to publish only his things and what he was saying. Okay, when you control the narrative, you control everything. And I think it's time for the Democrats to start having internet supremacy here, because I'll tell you right now, when Trump's finished his 4 years or however long he's going to be in there, if he's in there for 4 years, Republicans are going to have a real stranglehold on the information, the messaging fruits. If you know what I'm saying, they're gonna have control over that, and unless the Democrats are going to get busy putting up things to counter the Republicans online, they're going to end up having another loss, just like what they did this last election. Because I really think that's why we lost this election. It wasn't so much about the campaign. Kamala did a great job in 102 days and raised more fucking money than anyone ever imagined she could in just that short period of time. Way more than even Donald Trump did. Okay, she did great. Her message was on spot. It was positive. It energized people. There's nothing wrong with it. But people want to blame her campaign for it. Bullshit. You're doing what you always do, is you attack your own. The messaging was what was the problem. We didn't have control of the young vote in this country. Okay, and a lot of young voters under the age of 30, they voted for Trump. Why? Because those people got their message from some dingbat on the internet that they've been watching, okay, who's on there. I mean, you heard what Corbett said. I mean, there's people, black people are attacking each other. I mean, that, oh, Trump is going to be there for us. I mean, of all the stupid things for these people to believe is that. You have to be completely brain dead, to just accept that as fact right off, without even bothering to, research that and find out what Trump did. I mean, it's all there, public information about his history. How he wouldn't rent out to black people when he was younger there and he had apartments and stuff. He wouldn't rent places out to black people, okay? And he was discriminating then. Bigotry ran in his family, his father, okay? He was raised in that kind of a household. I mean, what, Jesus. And he hasn't changed his stripes in that time. He's still the same. Probably worse than he was then, okay? But I feel like, we really need to have this internet supremacy. People need to get out there, even average people, like me, start blogging, start doing stuff, get your name out there, get people to listen and watch you and stuff like that. Get the conversation going, counter what's being said by the other side. You got to do that, and you should start now to prepare for the time, like for the midterms, because if we can get control of the Senate and the House back, okay, then that will nullify many of the things Trump wants to do if he doesn't get it done by then, okay? So it's imperative that, all of us, and I ain't just talking about, the leadership. I'm talking about every goddamn one of us that claims to be Democrat and a voter. We need to get active. It's on us now, okay? We know now that the voting bloc of Republicanism, or the MAGA rather, has its fingers and toes into the fucking internet. So we got to get in there to chop those fuckers out. All right, we got to get in there and make it harder for them to keep the ears of the MAGA people. All right, we got to do that. We have to. We got to fight fire with fire. Okay, and this is the way you have to do it. I mean, that's how. Because look, I said in the last video, they've always been ahead of us when it comes to messaging. They've always done better at messaging than Democrats, okay? And so we need to catch up. We need to catch up and match them, all right, by the time the midterms come around. So I'm encouraging everyone out there who, knows how to do stuff online to, create blogs, create messaging, do things, write stuff, make opinion op-ed pieces to put out there, and I don't spend money doing this, okay? It don't cost me a fucking thing. If you got a phone and you got access to the internet, you can do this yourself, Okay, it's that simple. I'm on YouTube. I don't have to worry about getting donations from Tom, Dick, and Harry out there to do a fucking thing. Okay, I do this on my own time. All right, and so like I said, you can do this too. You can, you know, make a point of it. You know, pick a subject, pick a topic to talk about, something that really, you know, it's important to you, and discuss it on there. Talk about it on there. You know, some of you people are better at it than I am, and you know how to Zoom call while you're doing it and get other people involved so you can have conversations back and forth. Do that. Get going on it, you know. You know, at least like once a week, put out a fucking video or something. You know, just get the message out there. Everybody needs to start doing this now. We need to start dominating the internet. The right wings had it too good for too long, and now we're seeing that there is a benefit to it. They can twist minds online because people are always on there. They're not watching TV anymore like my generation grew up with. That don't mean a fucking thing to them anymore. The only thing they watch is what's on their laptop or on their fucking cell phone. That's where their attention is. TV don't mean nothing to them. Okay, really, they could live without it. All right, let's go to a commercial break. We'll be back.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Oh, welcome back. Oh, friggin' paper shredder. Okay. I have another video from Jesse Dollemore. and he's going to talk about how Trump is going to hurt MAGA members as well as everybody else when he becomes president, which I think I kind of laid out a little bit yesterday, but so let's go to that video and then we'll come back and I'll do it, get this thing here done.
Welcome to the fight, Warrior. I appreciate you being here. One of the things that has been all the hand-wringing, excuses, and trying to find a reason, and the finger-pointing that's taken place after the election, after Kamala Harris's loss on Tuesday night, early Wednesday morning. A lot of people are asking themselves and confused and perplexed about how white people ruined it for everybody. My shitty generation, Generation X, ruined it for everybody. But also, you know, some blame does need to fall at the feet of the larger percentage of black males and the unwieldy percentage of Latino males who voted for Donald Trump, who are thinking, it's going to be somebody else who gets hurt. If I was a Trump voter, he's going to take care of me. And we witnessed this in 2016 when Donald Trump's immigration policies and the deportations that took place, Trump voters, that their families were affected. Their family members. I remember specifically a case, I don't remember where the state, I believe it was Texas, a woman who voted for Donald Trump, and then her husband was deported back to Mexico. And she's like, oh, what? I didn't think it would be me. I didn't think I would be hurt. It's not always going to be immigration that the pain comes in the way of. The economy is going to be absolutely devastated if Donald Trump follows through with his tariff plan. Unemployment is going to... Remember this. Remember where the numbers are right now. Unemployment, inflation. Keep it bookmarked. Put it somewhere on your browser. Write it down and put it in your notes app on your phone. Because when Donald Trump takes office, it's game over. I mean, I laugh because it's so just, it's either that or cry. Donald Trump is a stupid person. His main focus to get back into office was to extricate himself from judicial problems. It wasn't the economy. He doesn't give a shit about you. He doesn't give a shit about your job. He doesn't give a shit about the betterment of your life or your family's life. There's a lot of people who are going to be harmed. People who voted for Donald Trump. You know, I've got a slew of dipshits I went to high school with who won't make six figures in the next 2 years, who act like their financial situation is going to be so much greatly improved. Elon Musk's financial situation is going to be greatly improved. Not some hillbilly from northern Idaho. You will bear the brunt of the tax cuts that are to come for the wealthy, for the upper middle class and above. I'm going to read a little bit from this Atlantic piece from Tom Nichols, the title of which is Trump Voters Got What They Wanted. Those who expect that Donald Trump will hurt others and not them are likely to be unpleasantly surprised. And so it came, this, by the way, I'm only going to read 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe five paragraphs or so from this much longer piece. I'll link it below. I would suggest you read it. I would suggest you consume as much. The fact that you're here means that you do have a stomach for this stuff and you're emotionally available to it. So consume as much as you can to inform yourself about how we move forward and the fight that is ahead of us. Here it is. And so it came to pass last night, a gaggle of millionaires and billionaires grinned and applauded for Trump. They were part of an alliance with the very people another Trump term would hurt, the young, minorities, and working families among them. Trump, as he has shown repeatedly over the years, couldn't care less about any of these groups. He ran for office to seize control of the apparatus of government and to evade judicial accountability for his previous actions as president. Once he is safe, he will embark on the other project he seems to truly care about, the destruction of the rule of law and any other impediments to enlarging his power. Last, and this is a person, not some indication of time, last is Jonathan Last, the editor of The Bulwark, worries that we might now be in a transition to authoritarianism of the kind Russia went through in the 1990s. But I, Tom Nichols, I visited Russia often in those days, and much of the Russian democratic implosion was driven by genuinely brutal economic conditions and the rapid collapse of basic public services. Americans have done this to themselves during a time of peace, prosperity, and astonishingly high living standards. An affluent society that thinks it is living in a hellscape is ripe for gulling by dictators who are willing to play along with such delusions. The bright spot in all this is that Trump, and I don't find this to be a bright spot, I think that was an odd choice of words from Tom Nichols, but we'll deal with the column as written. The bright spot in all this is that Trump and his coterie must now govern. The last time around, Trump was surrounded by a small group of moderately competent people, and these adults basically put baby bumpers and pool noodles on all the sharp edges of government. This time, Trump will rule with greater power but fewer excuses, and he and his voters will have to own the messes and outrages he is already planning to create. Those voters expect that Trump will hurt others and not them. They will likely be unpleasantly surprised, much as they were in Trump's first term. He was, after all, voted out of office for a reason. For the moment, some number of them have memory holed that experience and are pretending that his vicious attacks on other Americans are just so much hot air. Trump, final paragraph here, Trump, unfortunately, means most of what he says. In this election, he has triggered the unfocused ire and unfounded grievances of millions of voters. Soon we will learn whether he can still trigger their decency, if there is any to be found. That's another thing I wholeheartedly disagree with. Soon we will learn whether he can still trigger their decency. He can still trigger their decency. Still? When has he ever triggered MAGA's decency? Tom Nichols? If there is any to be found. There is none to be found. So if there is a bright spot from the angry individual that is currently running my brain, there will be pain on the part of these idiots who voted for Donald Trump. Little schadenfreude might be just what ailed you, to fix what ailed you. I'd love to know what you think. Where are you? You're obviously here, so you're in for the fight. That's fine. But where are you emotionally? Take care of yourself. Make sure you're taking breaks. Make sure you're reaching out to somebody who may be in crisis. It's important. Community, more important now than ever. Comment below and let me know. Phone lines are open, 714-576-4054. Of course, email me daily at dollemore.com. If you're not subscribed, you can help me gain back the nearly 10,000 subscribers I've lost over the last few hours. It is what it is. We're going to move forward. We're going to deal with that reality on reality's terms. I love and appreciate you very much. Follow me on social media, not on Twitter, but everywhere else if that's your thing. I am on Threads and TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, all these places. We can rally and organize and build community. I love and appreciate you. As always, be genuine and take care of one another.
Yeah, so, it's going to affect us all, whether we like it or not. MAGA thinks they're immune. They're not. They won't be. Trump hasn't said anything in his Project 2025 about protecting MAGA. Okay, their name, that group doesn't come up at all in any of that. Tax cuts for the wealthy and tariffs, that's gonna hurt our economy which means that's going to hurt everybody, right? Unless you're wealthy. If you're making, tons of money, you'll be fine. But for the rest of us, we're not. We're all going to be sitting in the same fucking boat, my friends. The Republicans and the Democrat voters. So we're going to be punished. Some of us undeservedly, and the rest of us deservedly are going to be punished for having voted the way we did. And don't cry to me when they come for you. I warned you. I warned you that Trump was going to go after everybody, in this country. And you people thought I was stupid, and you people thought I was, some kind of propagandist and shit. You're wrong about me, and you're wrong about Trump. Unfortunately, you're going to have to find that out the hard way, and it won't be long. I figure by the end of 2025, there's going to be enough strife where Trump's popularity is going to be sunk. Okay, but through it all, my conscience will be clear. And why is that? Because I voted for Kamala Harris, and I'm damn proud of it. I would have done it again in a heartbeat. All right, no matter the outcome, I still would have voted, because I don't want my name attached to anything of Donald Trump. I don't want to share that stain. Okay, I don't want to share that fucking stain. You guys want to wear that stain? Fine. You want to be stained? Go ahead and continue to kiss the ring, if he even gives a shit that you kiss it at all. And Roland Martin had said here, and I'm gonna and I quote, "America got what it wanted. Now it will get what it deserves." And that truer words couldn't be more, truer. He's right. We get the presidents we deserve. And right now, the rest of the world is preparing for Trump. Okay, NATO is trying to rethink what they're going to do now for Ukraine, because they're expecting the United States is just not going to be there for them. And I hey, the people that I spoke to months and months back, I'm talking on different chat sites, about a year after the shit started in Ukraine, telling them not to pretend that America is always going to be there, because we change leadership, pretty quick in this country. What we're for one day is not going to be the same the next day. So while they got our help, they should get as much as they can, because it may not be there. And I was telling them, I was already warning them, the right wing was rising up against the United States helping Ukraine way back in the beginning. Okay, because hey, Biden was the president, and hey, we can't let Biden do anything that's going to be successful. So they would come out and they would shit all over him about helping out Ukraine. And then, of course, Trump's sitting here talking about how Putin's a great leader, and he would tell him to go ahead and do what the hell you want. Okay, and then MAGA was, oh yeah, let's they were all for that. So, and just in a very short time, this tide was for support for Ukraine was starting to turn against them. And Zelensky had to come over here, 4 or 5 different times to try to talk to members of our leadership to guarantee that they're still going to be there. Well, I don't know what Biden, I don't know what Biden said to Zelensky the last time he spoke to him, but I'm sure he told him, what's going to happen if Trump wins. And so NATO is going to have to step in, I think, more than ever to help out Ukraine, because once Donald Trump gets in there, I'm pretty sure he's going to cut off all aid to them. And for the Palestinian people in the Gaza Strip, over there, Israel, I expect that they're going to be slaughtered, because Trump will be behind Netanyahu, because hey, they're two birds of a feather. One's just as bad as the other. They're both corrupt. So he'll grease Netanyahu's palm, and there won't be any opposition to Israel carpet bombing the shit out of Gaza and doing the ethnic cleansing they've been itching to do here since Netanyahu got in here. I don't know if you noticed, but in just the last couple of days, there's been a huge uprising of Israel citizens against the government. Okay? What a coincidence that happened right after the Trump victory. Because I think they realize, with Trump behind him, that Netanyahu is going to feel like he can do commit any crimes against humanity that he can do without having to worry about the United States trying to stop him like Biden's been trying to do. Okay? I think that's why this is happening. They know this. And believe me, from the start, not every person in Israel was behind this fucking war. They wanted it to stop. Okay? Because a lot of people still don't like Netanyahu. And there's going to be a lot of fucking problems over there now without the United States involved, in trying to rein this in. A lot of people are going to wish Biden was still president, after this, this goes on. I really don't know what's going to happen now with that, except, there's going to be a lot of bad things happening internationally, and I wouldn't be surprised if it leads to having the United States having to send troops, back into certain areas again, which means more war. Where right now, since under Biden, we've had an era of our troops not being out there, really, it's sort of an era of peace, but, that might change with Trump and his draconian measures that he uses to do things. I really don't know how this is going to play out, except that I don't see that it's going to have a happy ending. All right, and I feel bad for Ukraine because those people didn't deserve what happened to them. They didn't do anything to Russia. Those people were invaded by a sick fucker. Okay, and they pretty much lost everything. I don't know what's gonna happen or what kind of aid they'll ever get now. I don't know. There's a lot. I mean, a lot of unknowns now. Where we had, it's funny because when we had Kamala in there running against him, she laid out a pretty good idea of what was going to come if she became president. And that looks so good because there was the potential for growth for this country there, okay? And it meant that a lot of things that Biden started, she would maintain. And I don't understand why people think that was a bad thing, okay? Because unless you're getting your information from Fox, okay, I could see where you would think that. But if instead you were listening to somebody else instead of these liars, then you would understand where I'm coming from when I said that, things would have continued improving with Kamala there, But now we'll never know, will we? Because the fact is that, majority of the country decided to go back. They want to return to those miserable 4 years we had under Trump, and they think that for some reason he did a great job. I know a million people who would disagree with you. Of course, they can't speak for themselves, so I'm going to have to speak for them. Okay? Those million people are really pissed off at you. You hear what I'm saying? They're pissed off at you if you voted for Trump. Because they died hoping you wouldn't make the same mistake that led them to the grave, and you did it, and now you betrayed them. You lost the family members you lost to COVID because they thought Trump, was right when he said it was a hoax and all that shit. They're dead now. And you people cried and shed your tears. All right? You dishonored them. Made their sacrifice to enlighten you pointless. And since we're talking about that, how about all the fucking veterans out there who fought in wars and died? for the word democracy so that it would survive in this country. And in one fucking election, you guys destroyed it. There is no democracy now. It's gone. You don't see it now, but you will. Biden's still president right now. He's not going to destroy the democracy, but when he's gone, okay, and Trump takes over, that is it. That's it. There is no democracy. And if he does even an eighth of what he promised he was going to do as president, you know, I don't know what's going to happen. I can't guarantee you there would be a better future in the end, because if he does what he, like I said, he's going to try and engineer this thing in a way where Republicans will have minority power over the majority. Okay, and that's not a democracy. That in itself is, you know, eradicates democracy. When you have minority rule, that's not a democracy. When they want to take away elections, that's not a democracy. When he wants to seat people who are loyal only to Trump, that's not a democracy. Okay? See what I'm getting at? He's making himself a king. Okay? I don't know, you know, it's like I said, I don't know how else to say it. I mean, to tell you and for me to keep warning you, I guess, is really falling on deaf ears, honestly. Otherwise, I'm just preaching to the choir here, aren't I? The people who understand where I'm coming from, who understand and learn from history, understand where I'm coming from. The smarter people. The rest of y'all, you need to get smarter. All right? You need to start learning some things. You might have been out of high school for quite a while. You might even still be in college, but you're not learning things. Okay? And maybe that's because you've protected yourself from gaining experience about the job of living. Okay? You just don't understand what you're doing. You think that the things that you hear about and stuff are issues that don't matter to you until they do. And then you wonder why they've happened. And it all begins right at the very moment you stop getting involved and stop listening smartly. Critical thinking. Without that, you're going to fall through the cracks. You're going to end up, you know, with a lot of unluckiness happening your way. You know, a lot of bad things are going to happen to you for no good reason. Especially for the young girls out there who get raped and are pregnant and won't be able to get an abortion. Because, hey, protect the fetus but not the baby. That's what the right wing's all about. Once you give birth to that baby, you think they're going to give a shit about how well you raise it, or if the kid's going to have any food or any aid from the government? Oh, they're going to cut that right off. They're going to leave that in your hands. And if you can't raise that baby and stuff and something happens to it, they're going to take that kid away from you. Give it to the state. You know? What do you think's more cruel to the kid? You know, to force it to grow up in an unloving environment, you know, and become a possible burden to society, possibly even a criminal, you know. I'm not saying that's a guarantee, but it does happen. And the kid being, you know, thrown out on the streets to fend for itself, you know, and the poor mother having to, you know, either, you know, accept that she's got a child from a, you know, from a rape that's out there, and, you know, and cut off from it. And, you know, we're going to have a lot of brokenness in the days to come in our country here that could have been totally avoided if women stood up for themselves. Okay? I know that sounds nasty, but 52% of the women voters in this country, according to the returns, voted for Trump. They voted against themselves. Say what you want about men being misogynistic. I think the women pretty much prove they are just as misogynistic as the men are. if we're to believe those returns. Okay? That's saying a lot right there. You know, I really don't understand how that could be and why that happened. I really don't. I mean, when the word got out that bans are being placed in different states on abortion and stuff, you know, and women were out there, you know, protesting against that, they had the chance, you know, on election day to send a message to Trump that we won't have that. And instead, you know, 17 million less voters came out and voted than in 2020. 17 million, that's a big fucking swath. And that's the reason why Trump, you know, won by a landslide, is because fewer people, fewer Democrats came out and voted. And some that did voted for Trump. You know, I'm not going to go down that fucking conspiracy road that, oh, because, you know, the people who signed up to vote at the time don't match the exit numbers or something like that. You know, you know, you can break things down mathematically and look at it and scratch your head and say something's not right. I'm already getting that from people. I'm already hearing that from others, you know, that these numbers can't be accurate. Okay. Yeah, it is shocking. You know, and the fact that, like I said, that black people voted for Trump and women voted for Trump. Okay. When he's out there insulting both all the time, grab him by the pussy and all this shit, you know. Women like that? Is that what they're trying to say? Is that women don't care? You might as well let Weinstein out of prison then. Okay, apparently, since women have been lying to us all this time about that, I guess they don't mind being raped. Okay, and if you are a rapist, guess what? You can still run for president. It doesn't matter. You know, if you've been convicted of 34 felonies, it don't matter. You know, your criminal record isn't going to matter anymore. If you run for president, who cares? You may not be able to vote, okay, because you're a convicted felon, but you sure as hell can run for president. You know, our country's broken, all right? And maybe, you know, it's been broken so bad that, you know, we were probably lucky to get Biden as president for the 4 years we did, okay? And Trump, you know, losing out, you know, was basically the error of the campaign at the time. That if he had owned the internet the way they own it now, then maybe the election ending of that would have been another term of Donald Trump sooner. Okay. But instead, the Republicans didn't understand what they did wrong, and then they figured out that it's the internet they need to dominate, not so much, you know, the television, the radio, or whatever the hell else. You know, the medium these days you have to own is the internet. With that, you can control minds, you can educate them. And look, these young voters here that voted for Trump now, they're going to grow up. They'll be voting in other elections. You think they're going to change their perceptions? Not right off. Those voters in this last election will still be the ones we're going to have to vote against in the days to come. You know, they're creating a future generation of Republican voters by doing this. That's what they've been doing, because they know they're losing numbers. The Republican Party is shrinking, and in order for them to get some money, some of these numbers back, they're going after the youth out there and grabbing them while it's still good. It's easy to brainwash the youth. Okay, I was told that when I joined the service. You know why it's so much easier to grab young people, right out of high school because their minds are malleable. They can form them. They can do whatever the hell they want to them to get loyalty out of them and everything. Okay, it doesn't always work, but they're the most. That's the best point in a person's life, to fuck with their head. So you get these people, you know, at voting age, under 30. You know, you got a whole generation right there to tap. You know, they're not gonna go after people who are actually living their life, working, experiencing bills and all this shit. Okay, because they understand the facts of life a lot better. But the young people don't, and it's laughable for some of these people that they're sitting here, they're 18 years old, talking about how it's so expensive to have an apartment or to buy a house at 18 years old. You know, you got to be shitting me, okay? It's just crazy. I mean, how they're doing this now. How the Republicans are out there, you know, manipulating votes yet to come. You know, I'm really more angry at the voters this time than I am at Trump. Trump, we already knew what Trump was like and what he was going to do. He didn't even try to hide it. Okay, his misogyny came out loud and clear. His racism came out loud and clear. That debate he had with Kamala, he got his ass handed to him by Kamala. Okay, he failed it, and he made it known to people what he was like. He didn't hide it. So I can't be mad at him for winning. I'm just mad at the people that believed him. And that only gives me greater understanding of why we are right where we are right now. Okay? No critical thinking skills. No fact checking. So it's up to the rest of us who do have those skills and do take the time to research and fact check, to disseminate that information out there in every fucking way we can online. Put it out there. Don't depend on the press to tell these people. They're not going to do their job either. Okay? The press, they follow stories, you know, but they don't fucking engage them. Okay? They just follow them. They don't do the research. They don't do the investigations anymore like they should. It used to be a good way for this country to depend on the information they need to know what their government's doing, but not anymore. That asset has been taken away from us in a quiet way, believe it or not. Oh, and one more thing. I saw that Australia is about to implement an internet ban. Here, let me thing here. This is from The Guardian. Australia to ban people under 16 from social media, but can't say how TikTok, Instagram, and others will enforce it. The Australian government has pledged to legislate an age limit of 16 years for social media access, with penalties for online platforms that do not comply. The Labour government has not spelled out how it expects Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and others to actually enforce that age limit. Anthony Albanese is facing pressure from the coalition opposition to rush the bill through Parliament in the next 3 weeks. Although a federal trial into age assurance technology has not yet commenced, Albanese and the communications minister Michelle Rowland did not rule out the potential for social media users to have their faces subject to biometric scanning for online platforms to verify users' ages on using a government database, or for all social media users, regardless of age, being subject to age checks, only saying it would be up to tech companies to set their own processes. The Prime Minister confirmed the age limit at a press conference on Thursday in the latest step of the government's increasing scrutiny on major tech platforms, with plans to introduce legislation into Parliament this month. His government had announced its plan to legislate an age limit, but had been deliberating on whether to set that threshold, with expectations it would be between 14 and 16. Questions have been raised and remain unanswered about how it could be effectively enforced. The onus would be on social media platforms to, quote, demonstrate they are taking responsible and reasonable steps to prevent access, unquote, for young people. There would be no penalties for users who managed to access social media under the age of 16 or their parents, but Rowland said there would be penalties for platforms that did not heed the new laws. Quote, the e-safety commissioner will have responsibility for enforcement, and there needs to be enhanced penalties to ensure compliance, unquote, she said, saying current penalties below $1 million in existing legislation was not sufficient. Albanese raised concern about the effect of social media on young people, including the potential for content related to misogyny or body image, as his reasoning for the new laws. He said he had spoken to thousands of parents and other adults about the issue. Quote, they, like me, are worried sick about the safety of our kids online, unquote, he said. Quote, I want Australian parents and families to know that government has your back. I want parents to be able to say, sorry, mate, that's against the law, unquote. Rowland said platforms would, quote, need to take reasonable steps, unquote, to assure themselves of a user's age, and the government is still conducting a trial funded in the May budget of potential age assurance and technology options. The UK, which has implemented age assurance legislation, outlined potential options, including allowing banks or mobile providers to confirm a user is over 18, credit checks, use a facial estimation technology, and asking users to upload a photo to the site that is then matched with photo ID. Advice provided to the Australian government said, quote, no countries have implemented an age verification mandate without issue, unquote. A roadmap for age verification released last year by the e-safety commissioner to be tasked with enforcing the new age limit recommended a, quote, double-blind token-side approach, unquote, where a third-party provider would transfer information between sites and age assurance providers to protect user privacy. The roadmap found the age assurance market was, quote, immature but developing, unquote. The Shadow Communications Minister David Coleman said the issue was urgent and called for the bill to be rushed through by the end of November, even before the age assurance trial reports on what options exist to enforce that law. Okay, so yeah, there's more to read about that, but they're going to attempt this, okay, and I'm curious how this is going to work. I'm already getting flack from people, you know, saying, you know, this is ridiculous and this is like, you know, trying to keep kids from playing video games and stuff because it's going to ruin their mind. I can't say that this really falls into that same category. I think there's more to it than that. This isn't video games per se, because people are actually being hurt online by people, you know, preying on them, hurting them, stalking them online. I mean, we've had incidents in our own country where people have been murdered because of, you know, what do they call it, catfishing or something like that. And some of these are young girls, you know, and you know, I realize people are going to argue, you know, at least in this country, if somebody ever tried to implement a ban, you know, freedom of speech and all this and that. But the laws in these other countries are different. So I'm going to be curious because, look, I'll tell you, other countries have put bans on guns, right? And we saw that the gun crime rates in those countries are way lower than the United States. So we know bans can work on certain things, all right? So I'm curious to see, you know, when they implement this ban, how effective it's going to be in, you know, crimes related to the internet. Will it really protect these kids from harm, or if these bans are not monitored well enough or regulated well enough, are they going to be able to do what they're hoping it will do? Okay, so I'm very curious about how this is going to play out. I know they wouldn't do that here. There'd be too much bitching about that in this country for them to actually do it. But if they can do this in Australia, and they manage to make a success out of it, I think I could see that other countries might do the same. You know, And these corporations, these internet corporations like Facebook and all them, who've been saying, "Whoa, we're doing the best we can." You know, when they start to see more and more countries start to axe their ass for them because they won't do it themselves, that might force them to start doing something about this, to do some real progress. Okay, this might be just what's needed to happen for these assholes, these CEOs, and these social media companies to do something to put a stop to this shit. Because, like I've said before, it's like the Wild West out there on the internet. Okay, there's got to be regulation. I'm sorry, but I'm all for it. I'm all for, you know, some form of regulation to protect the people using it. Okay, you got too many things going on there that are not checked out and not monitored. Too many hacks, too many goddamn catfishing, you know. Christ, what was it? Remember that show, To Catch a Predator? Every one of those goddamn people that they caught on TV were caught because they were using the internet to get a victim. Okay? I mean, I can't imagine a show that would illustrate that example more than that one. Because every son of a bitch that they set up, okay, and got caught by whatever that guy's name was there that was pretending to be a cop, and then he wasn't. He was just a goddamn reporter. But every one of these people that showed up expecting they were going to be able to molest some girl, they met this fake person on the internet. You see what I'm saying? So I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out in Australia if they get this thing going. I really would like to see people keeping track of the numbers. That's going to be important. All right, so that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great weekend. So subscribe, comment, and share. And keep your ears open for health-related issues. And treat each other nice. All right? Enjoy the weekend. I'll talk to you later.